Hello everyone, Scott here from Pillow Partners with this week's live Ask Me Anything. We are taking questions from the audience. Should be going out live, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, some other different social media platforms. We are taking questions from you guys about service, accommodation, business, entrepreneurship, mindset, anything, resilience, absolutely anything I will cover. We're taking it from various things, some emails, some different social media places during the week, and some questions from TikTok over the last 7 days. I have Milo next door. You can't see him. I'm waving to him now. Behind the scenes, adding in your questions, guys. If you're watching live, ask your questions about service, accommodation, business, property, anything. What I would say, I'm going to try and get this done in half an hour, guys. So if we keep the questions nice and short and sharp, don't get into too much detail so that it doesn't take 20 minutes to answer one question. I want to deliver as much value as I can. I am here myself today. How sad's that? I always like doing these with some people here as well, but I'm myself. So I will do the best to add value and rattle through some of these questions as best we can. Milo is next door. He's feeding these in from the various channels. I can see we're going live on a few Facebooks, YouTube. I think we're over on LinkedIn as well. So I'm going to fire on with the first question, guys. If you are not watching live, you're watching on a replay or seeing this anywhere else on social media, please feel free to comment. We'll get your questions done next time. They do these weekly. Let's have a look at the first question. I don't always know these questions. They come in. So excuse me if it takes me a little bit of time to figure out what it means. First question here. Where is the best place in the UK to invest in service accommodation? Guys, we get asked this all the time. I think it's the biggest question I've been asked over the years. Scott, if I had some money, what should I do to get into service accommodation? Three things I want to know before I can answer that question. So three things I would need to know from you before we can answer that and give you any advice. Number one, depends your target market. So firstly, you need to let me know what type of guest are you looking to service. If you're looking to do contractors, it's going to be totally different to the holiday home market. If you're looking to do high-end corporate accommodation, you're not going to be getting country properties with hot tubs. Likewise, you're not going to be getting city centre apartments if you're looking to do holiday lets for families in the country near the beach, or country escapes. So, where to invest? I'm going to need to know what type of person you want to service. Is it contractors? Is it high-end corporate-let market, city centres, or is it a classic tourism and holiday maker? Next thing I'm going to need to know is your budget. Hey, I'd love to say go and invest in Whitby and Filey in these areas, but hey, that's going to cost you a lot more than a little ex-local authority somewhere up north. So I'm going to need to know what is your budget. And if you don't have budget, guys, I'm going to need to know what your rent-to-rent areas are and how much money you have to start this off. So if you've got a budget for buying, nice and simple, we'll find that area and get the best return on investment. If you're doing rent-to-rent, it opens up a few more geographical places, but makes it much more complicated. So I need to know what type of guest you're looking to service. I need to know what your budget is. And the next thing, you're looking to manage this yourself, because then I can see where you are and what the location is. So if you say, yes, I want to manage it myself, my wife, myself, my husband, myself, it's going to be a family venture, that may need to be near you if you're going to be servicing that and going to the property. So it might decide the location based on where you are. If it's an agent, it can be anywhere. And the last thing for me to give you a good answer to where to invest, where to buy and service the accommodation, is, are you looking at this as 100% investment or a little bit of a mixture of investment and lifestyle? What do I mean by that? Guys, are you going to be using this yourself? Because if you stay in Devon, you probably don't want to invest in the next town along. It doesn't matter if it is an investment and you're 100% just looking to get a return on investment, that's fine. If you're going to be looking for a second holiday home that you may use yourself, then that is really going to influence the area that you are going to invest. So the best place to do service accommodation in the UK, there's my 4 factors before I could advise you on that. Guys, if you want to let me know, we'll do a little case study next week. Moving on to the next question. comes from YouTube. The service accommodation industry is dead. Okay. I don't know anyone that actually makes money. So this isn't a question, it's a comment. The service accommodation industry is dead. I don't know anyone who actually makes money from it. Well, there's something that's been burned there in the past. Personally, I know hundreds, thousands and thousands of people that make money for it. Service accommodation has been here for many, many years before Airbnb was here. I think it'll be here for many years after Airbnb is gone. So the word service accommodation, relatively new. I've been doing this since 2002. We've been looking after holiday homes, and I've had a management company since 2006. Service accommodation definitely isn't dead. Why do you not know anybody that's making money out of it? Because many, many people are not making money out of it. Many people have been deceived and been bumped. There's oversaturation in the market. There's people selling really bad rent-to-rent deals. There's some people making a lot of money doing sourcing for deals that will never stack up. Likewise, there's some great sourcers out there. Not a dig at sourcers, it's a dig at the people taking the deals. And listen, there's a lot of service accommodation trainers there, guys, who, listen, have been in it for a couple of years. They're young kids. They're marketeers, and there's people paying money to consume their content, do their mentorship. So there's people teaching absolute nonsense. There's somebody that's done 2 rent-to-rent deals, then teaching other people to do service accommodation. So many people are listening to people online that haven't been doing this for 2 minutes. So oversaturation in the market, lots of bad deals out there. Every second person's taking a buy-to-let and putting it into service accommodation. So there are many, many reasons why people are not making money. And it doesn't surprise me. You've not come across MD not making money in service accommodation, but there are many, many people that are. And that will balance itself at the end of the year. Next question. I don't have any money. Can I still get into Can I still get into SA by doing rent-to-rent? Yes, you can. There's lots of ways to get into service accommodation, rent-to-rent being one of those. So let's take rent-to-rent and expand it out a little bit. We'll just call it leasing. So you can either own it yourself by buying it, financing it, or paying it cash, or leasing that property in some way. So yes, you can definitely get into rent-to-rent. Now, the question is, can I still get into it by doing rent-to-rent? Yes. Is it an easily accessible market? Yes. I'm not going to go into the pitfalls of rent-to-rent. There may be questions on that, I don't know, coming up. Should you? It's another option. But I don't have any money. Can I get into SA by rent-to-rent? You're still going to need some money for rent-to-rent. You may negotiate that deal yourself, but the chances are you're going to need to pay some sourcing fee, pay maybe an onboarding fee with an agent if they're managing it for you. You're going to need to have some cash flow in the bank. Probably going to need to furnish it. You're either buying all that stuff, don't scrounge and scrape it secondhand. It's going to be a really bad product, or you're going to need to have something in place to lease that furniture. You're going to need to have monthly commitments for that. So don't get into service accommodation if you have no money. Not going to go into how you could do it with money, but don't go into service accommodation with no money. You're going to need some money to do things, but you definitely can. If you've got 5-10 grand, pay your sourcing fees, you can find it, you can get it set up and get it all looking beautiful, get it on the portals, but you can definitely do that through rent-to-rent. Previous question, lots of rent-to-rent deals that don't work, guys, so be very, very super cautious. Do your due diligence. But can you get into SA with no money? I wouldn't suggest it. Next one, how can I become a franchisee with Pillow? We don't have the big blue screen behind us. I love pointing that with all the different Pillow logos. Guys, you can partner with us if you want to set up a service accommodation management company. Don't set it up and be a competitor with everyone else. You can be a business partner with Pillow. It's nice and simple. You pay your fee. We will train you up. You will get all of Pillow's resources. So it's nice and simple. The steps to answer the question: fill in our suitability questionnaire. That will give you a score out of 0 to 100 of how good a fit that is for you. There is a franchise fee. We'll book some discovery calls, and you can come and see us here at the Centre of Excellence. We do discovery days every single month here at HQ. So again, we don't require you don't need 20 years experience. For us, it's all about mindset, and you definitely are going to need a minimum of 20 hours a week to start. I'm not going to get into too much about our franchise product because it's a Q&A to add value. But if you want any more info, email us over at franchise@pillowpartners.co.uk. Is it still worth doing service accommodation in Scotland with all that licensing? Absolutely. And I would say there's no better time for it. we had oversaturation in the market. Every second person was doing by taking the buy-to-lets and switching to SA. Why? Well, there was rent increase freezes, there was eviction bans, highly regulated lettings market, residential lettings market here in Scotland, tax incentives. Many people had switched the buy-to-lets to service accommodation for good reason. And escaping the residential lettings market, oversupply in a lot of areas. But guys, I think that will redress itself. I think the licensing itself's been an absolute disaster and continues to be. However, the principle of licensing will push people out the market. It will rebalance a little bit. I think demand will stay the same or go up, but supply will lower. So I think it's a good thing. Investing in Scotland versus south of the border is another matter, but is it worth doing in Scotland because of the licensing? Yes. And a little addendum to that, it will happen in England as well. So don't confuse the two. Next question, can I get a job as a property manager at Pillow? And how much do you pay? We mentioned the last time we've predominantly franchisees, business partners rather than employees. We do have employed property managers. This is a nice simple one for me. Yes, you can get a job with Pillow. You will have targets to make a certain multiple of your wage. And guys, if you can come and bring properties to us and manage a portfolio, you can set your own wage because you can get as long as you're making a multiple of your wage, you can set your own wages. So if you want 40 grand, you're going to need to hit the multiple of that to make it worthwhile having us. But you can't get a job as a property manager having no properties to manage in an area where we don't have properties. But guys, it's for you to demonstrate your value to us. But yes, we would love more employed property managers across the UK. But yeah, you need to cover your wages and make a multiple of it. So that is nice and simple. Some questions. I think I'm missing loads. Sorry, Milo. Next one, that's actually missed that. Do you have any jobs going at Pillow? Yes, that links to the last one. We've got lots of jobs here. Now, our HQ is in Glasgow. So we want to predominantly build the team here. We've got an amazing culture. It's a centre of excellence. So definitely have some jobs at the moment. Content creation jobs, some social media stuff, some people helping run events at the office, and got lots and lots of people coming every week to the Centre of Excellence to do training. Definitely sales jobs, anything commission only we would consider. What I would say is you come to us with a business plan, and if it works for us, give us an offer too good to be true. Make yourself indispensable to the business, and we will always look at job offers. But yes, definitely jobs. If you want to email info@pillowpartners.co.uk with your CV, predominantly here, come into the office and be part of the team and the culture, but we would look at remote roles as well. So always jobs going at Pillow for sure. Can I get into service accommodation if I don't have money to buy a property? Yeah, we do service accommodation discovery days here. We spend the whole day looking at 5 different strategies, and buying a property is only one of them. We've mentioned in a previous question, leasing. You can do sourcing for people. We can train people to be property managers and do management. You can do joint ventures. Other ways to do training. Again, I've said don't do training unless you're super experienced in the industry. But you can definitely get into service accommodation. There's lots of creative strategies to do this. You don't actually need to buy a property. You don't need to own it. You can lease it. You can help other people. You can be the person that adds value to other people with the property. In our example, listen, I love management. And we don't own thousands of properties, but we can manage them simply because we add value to the property owners. We come in with something, delivering that value that massively covers any fees that we charge. So look at that. What are your skill sets? Is it time? Is it a little bit of experience? You could have someone with a property or money, and you can joint venture. But what can you deliver that they can't? So don't try and match it and say, well, I don't have a property and I'm trying to do business with someone else without a property. I don't have money and I'm trying to do business with someone else that doesn't have money. What do they need? So if they have money or a property, they're probably time poor. If you come to me with service accommodation deals and stuff, I would want to, I would need time back. So that would be a value proposition to me. Time, experience. I'll think to the business that means it doesn't cost any of my time, but back in the day, it was my time that was valuable. When I was setting up Pillow, it was my time. All I had was time to absolutely deliver massive value against any of our competitors. Now, by running Pillow, time is one of my biggest assets. So find people that don't have time, find people that don't have experience, but have money, have a need, give them safety, security, and over-deliver on that value. You can definitely get into service accommodation without actually owning a property. One. Why don't you ever answer my messages on LinkedIn about using my services? Very simply, I get hundreds of messages a day in LinkedIn. I think it came up that I've been in LinkedIn for 14 years. Running a business like this, there's many, many people I don't have the time to get back to, and I try to answer messages myself. So unless I employed somebody to do it, there isn't physically enough time to get back to messages. If somebody says, Scott, I have a property, or could you help me with my property, or I'm looking for a managing agent, or you listen, I have a charity thing you could help me with, I will get back to them. If you're punting your services dry, just, hi, don't know who you are, Scott, I want you to use my web development company, I want to use my photocopier company, I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to be honest about that, and I'll be honest live. There's just not enough time to do it. Whoever you are, I don't know your name. But if you're just contacting on LinkedIn, we don't have a relationship, and you're trying to dry pitch to me, I'm going to ignore that. Nothing personal to you, just don't have time. Same as the mobile number. I've had that number for 20 odd years. I think 22 years I've had that mobile number. I get calls all the time. Why didn't I get back to your voice note about your photocopying company? Because I get 20 messages a day. So I just literally can't. So don't take offense to that. But get into psychology. So the question here is, how do you get people to buy your services? It isn't dry messaging them on LinkedIn. It's building relationships. It's demonstrating value. It's not sending template shit out that's just, my name's wrong. You've not said anything about Pillow. And you've looked at that and thought, that guy that owns a multi-million-pound property management company says he's on his LinkedIn profile, it says looking to build the world's biggest and best service accommodation company. Is he the right person to be dealing with photocopiers? So think about it, who you're messaging on LinkedIn. If it says I'm looking to build £100 million business, do you think I'm going to be dealing with photocopiers? So think that guy's looking to build £100 million business. Who is all the staff in his business, and how can I help him facilitate that £100 million business? Hi, he can have absolutely amazing photocopiers at a great price that's never going to break, that's going to help him support his business growth. There you go. Next question. I'd like to use my property to help you with your charity. Fantastic. Do I need to use you as my managing agent to do this? No, Pillow has an associated charity called Safe Havens. And if you're a fully managed client, your guests can do loads of things. You can leave food for food banks, we can collect clothes, we can give them to homeless. Owners can donate time in their property. We put them together and we provide funded stays in society for those that need it the most. So predominantly used and facilitate the things for our fully managed properties. However, if you list your property with us, if we are just another marketing channel alongside Airbnb, etc., then yes, you can. One of the benefits of listing on our platform is getting to use all of our charity technology and social impact stuff. So yes, you definitely can reach out to hosts at pillowpartners.co.uk, and Edith will get you onboarded for that. The host liaison officer, Edith, will get you onboarded, list with us on our site, just so we can see your property, make sure it meets the minimum criteria for charity, and then we can use your property for social impact. We have a target of providing this year 10,000 funded nights a year, so we would love you to get involved, and you can add on to that tally, and together we can help those in communities that need it the most. I would switch to Pillow Partners, but your fees are too high. I currently get charged half of what you guys charge. I would hope you do get charged at least half. Means we are delivering double the value. Guys, we're here. I want to frame this to you. If you are paying half, if you're not going to pick a managing agent because their fees are too high, guys, you're saving a couple of £100 a month. But remember, fees are commission only. It's a percentage of the money they make. So why would you worry about making 200, paying 200 quid more? Let's say you're going to pick an agent to save 100 quid, but they're commission only. So if they're charging half the commission, it's safe to say they're going to get half the results. So for you to save £100, you're probably going to lose 1,000. So I don't have any problems justifying our fees, because it doesn't matter because it's a couple of hundred quid here or there, really, but it's the thousands more you will make. If I had to charge half the fees of what we do, I'd need to get rid of half the stuff and get rid of half the employees, half the marketing budget for SEO, half the websites, half the out-of-hours customer service team. People charging half, I think, is actually a joke. It should be charging a lot less than half what we charge, because I think we've got 3, 4, 5 times the resources at the back end. There's people charging half that are themselves with a mobile phone, and they're doing it themselves. Hi, I started there. But we've got 30, 40 employees. We've got people working all evening and weekend. We've got a massive customer experience team. People doing web development, SEO, video editing, all these things behind the scenes to drive direct bookings to our hosts. And I think if you're trying to save £100 in management fees, yes, you could maybe save £100 in management fees, but that's a commission. It's linked, and you'll be losing thousands. So for me, if your agent is right for you, don't switch, guys. Keep them. Don't switch if they're the right ones for you and you think they're delivering massive value, and you couldn't squeeze any more occupancy, nightly rates, or profit at the end of the year. Stick with your agent. Even if all the fees are the same, guys, last thing on changing agents is just pick the one that you feel most at home. Who's there to deliver the maximum amount of value? Who do you put your trust in? Who's going to be there the longest in the market? Who's in it for the short term? Who's the safest bet for you to put your property with long term that's going to deliver you the maximum amount of profits? Don't look at it as fees. It could be somebody charging a quarter of the fees. They could give you more money. Could somebody charge 40% fees and deliver better value? But pick the one where you feel most at home. Where's your family? Who do you trust the most? Lovely. Some questions coming in. Nice from Richard. Always sees the lives on LinkedIn. I like it. What is the biggest challenge you see with the contractor market? The contractor market as it has developed. Will the large brands be a threat? I butchered that one, Richard. Sorry. What's the biggest challenge you see in the contractor market as it has developed? Will the large brands be a threat? Contractor bookings are done, but as Richard said, big companies like Stay City, Situ, Sweet Hub, all these players. Many years ago, Richard, we did very well, definitely up to lockdown, still do with direct bookings for contractor markets. As a managing agent, Richard, I think our job is to maximise the visibility of a property. If that is working with the relocation agents, the big ones, the companies that sit you and paying a fee, we would balance it up. Those big companies are taking loads and loads. One thing I would say, Richard, see these big companies, if we're dealing direct with a contractor, we set the terms as hosts and managing agents. The biggest thing I see here is some of these guys paying 60-day payment terms. So imagine being a host and you're in a position with these big companies, Richard, where they've got power. Like Tesco is paying their suppliers and the farmers don't get paid for 60, 90 days. That's what's happening to a lot of these guys. They're getting lots of bookings and they're saying, well, we're in the power for individual hosts. We would give that to you, Mr. Host, but you need to pay 60 days. We'll pay you 60 days in arrears. So that's a big thing for us. These big companies could go bust very easily. And during lockdown, some of these guys said we're on 60-day payment terms. We had to delist with a lot of them. Thankfully, with Pillow, we've got a little bit of a clout. You don't have that if you're an individual person, but with a company with the size of Pillow, we can get those 60-day payment terms taken off. But again, it's a horrible situation to say to a host, you have a big £30,000 booking, you've got the next 6 months, or you're guaranteed a year with these guys, but you're going to be 60 days late with your money. I think that's a problem, and I don't think these companies get paid 60 days. I think they do it for cash flow. So that's my biggest issue with these big companies, Richard. Next, let's have a little look. Richard has one more question, guys. I want to get this done in 30 minutes, so I'm going to bring up one more question, but please put them in at the bottom and you'll get them in. What are your views on accreditation? Is this a key differentiator right now? What about the future? If I take the residential lettings industry, it was ALA many years ago, getting a little bit of accreditation. In Scotland, they've legislated the residential market where you do need to be accredited as an agent for residential lettings. And we're talking about service accommodation, but for residential lettings, you do need to be accredited in Scotland. And the team need to do professional CPD and get certain levels. So does it work for residential lettings? I think it does. Who's running the accreditation schemes for SA? I mean, I looked at it many years ago. Other large companies have a little bit of a quality mark. We looked at it. We've developed things a few times over the last 7-8 years. We will do something for our properties around the hosts. So we're going to accredit other property managers and give them certificates. So we're definitely doing it in-house so that I know my team across the country are doing it. There's some ones out there. Richard, I'll be honest, some of the things I've seen, it's all about paying money to these people to get a little logo. And a lot of it's bullshit. How would we do that where it wasn't a company? Like even Pillow doing it and accrediting people, it could be argued, are we impartial? What are the standards? Are people just doing it because they're paying to get it? And what does it actually mean? So it would need to be something government approved, need to be something agreed at a national level, and it would need to be massively independent to people in the industry. Because there's people at the industry that do it, and there's people that are in the industry about to launch it. But it is, you don't get that unless you're part of that group and part of that team and you pay the money. So I think it would need to be very similar to what we've done with the residential lettings, with one overall arching thing. But who gets that contract? It's hard. Is it a key differentiator for service accommodation? I think guests will never even see that. They'll see it, they'll not necessarily care. Once they get to your place and see that you're a certain host and managing agent, and they maybe see it in your literature and their check-in pack, maybe then. But I think at the time of booking, it's not going to make any difference, and I don't think there's an awareness in our industry of that. Hopefully that makes sense. Richard, I'll finish up, but you are in the corporate let market. Going back to the last question and this one, what are your thoughts on it? Actually, jump on. Let's get you on the podcast next week. Richard, let's come here at 12:30 next Monday and we'll do a little interview and we'll get your thoughts on it. Richard's an industry expert when it comes to corporate and contractor letting. So I'm going to pass the answer to the last question over to Richard next week, and I'd be delighted to have him on the podcast. So guys, I think that is all the questions. Milo, I've probably skipped a few accidentally. I'm just making sure. I'll go back and see if we have any. There's one. How do I get into the service accommodation industry if I have no experience? With anything, if I'm thinking of people that have asked us for jobs, you just want to add value in some way. Your value proposition needs to be take the risk out of it and basically cover any wages that you have. So loads of ways to get into it. If somebody came in for a job with us and said, I've been in the service accommodation industry for many years, but I'm going to be a nightmare of an employee. I'll be taking time off. I'll be a mood hoover. I'll be argumentative. I'm going to be a woke social justice warrior. I'm going to try and get everybody to be vegan and all these daft opinions people have. And I'd say it doesn't matter how experienced you are in the property industry, you're probably not a good fit for my culture and my business. I don't want somebody coming in that's going to be a hassle. So someone with that experience and that arrogance or that confidence might not be as good as you, but you say, I don't have experience, but I'll tell you what I do have is a willingness to learn. I'm coachable. I won't let you down. I'm going to be reliable. I'm going to be an advocate of your business. I'm going to be an ambassador of the team, and I'm going to give so much more than someone with experience, and I'll be with you to get that experience. So I think that's, I think it's all about mindset. And going back to the final thing about we are picking franchisees, and sometimes when we're picking a franchisee, people want to pay us money to be a partner with Pillow. We do need to look and say, wow, there's somebody with loads of experience that may go on to make more money as a franchisee for them and us and be more successful. But actually, I think that person there with no experience is going to be better for the team. They're just going to fit in nicer. They may go and make more money, but I think they disrupt the team and wouldn't fit in. And we would always take the person with that mindset, that attitude. So don't worry about not having experience. There's a first time for everyone. And just someone will be willing to give you a chance. And Richard agreeing to go in next week. Richard, I'll follow up on this in LinkedIn and I will pass you over an invite. And listen, I'd love to get you on. Overdue coming on and speaking, and I will do it here. You can do it remotely, and we'll talk all about the contractor and corporate market. And guys, we'll focus on that next week. We've done general Q&A today. I'll put a thing out and we'll set that up. We'll be looking at the corporate and contractor markets and perhaps getting contractor bookings. So if you're a host and want to get more corporate bookings, then tune in next week. Perfect. That's half an hour, guys. I am going to finish up. Thank you very much. If you are watching on the replay and didn't get your question answered, or you've just logged in and didn't get your question answered, follow up and we'll get it done over the next few weeks. Have a fantastic day, guys.